Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Craft Eccentricity. And today we're going to do a make this, and it's going to be a Panalisa make this. And it's going to be that oval die from yesterday because I think people need to know how to do this to turn it into an opening and closing card. And the reason for that is because there's something I discovered that I should have discovered yesterday, and I'm going to share that with you. But to do this card, I'm going to be using a piece of this lovely kind of, it's a sagey green basil cardstock from Joanne. During the times when it's 25 cents a sheet in the sale, and also white cardstock, so a little bit pastel. Right, now then, this die. Oh, I'm also going to use this stamp set. So we're going to put that stamp set in there for good measure, and I think I might stamp that bit and a sentiment along the bottom panel. Now then, this die, this is what it looks like. I've cut it apart. It looks like this, and you've also got this layering piece, and you've also got another layering piece. Now, instinctively, you'd look at something like that and you'd think, well, okay, it's going to be an open and close card, looking at this, and you'd think that you're going to cut out the whole thing and then the back would fold away. Now, as I looked at that, suddenly the idea becomes absolutely impossible. It becomes impossible to cut this die out in that way. And the way that it is absolutely accurate. As you can see, you've got all of your cut lines. So this section of the oval should completely fall away, leaving you with the bottom section with your house and your trees and everything else attached. Then you have to make it into an open close card, and you do that using this piece. So this piece will layer into that once it's cut, and it will be just the trees that are glued. Okay, you are only going to glue the tree sections. Obviously the house piece isn't there, and they will go onto there, and that is what makes the open close card. So, kind of going back to that, if you look at the size of the pieces that you'd be cutting out, it would be a bit impossible to fold that back on itself because it would just be too flimsy because of the size of these pieces that come out of there. And I'll probably be able to explain that a lot better once I've cut it out. And then, of course, you get a layering piece. So this is the piece that will make it open and close. And then you get a pretty piece, which is why I've got my stamp set out. And I'm hoping that that will kind of like fit in there along with the sentiment. So that's why I got that out. Right, I'm going to stop waffling away. I'm sorry if I've got soil under my hands. I probably have. I've already been out on my deck this morning, as the sun is coming up. Yeah, there's flecks of mud under my fingernails, and I've been doing loads of cuttings, loads of passion fruit cuttings and rosemary cuttings, and I've been dipping everything in my hormone rooting powder. So, forgive my hands. I've just been, all excited farming. That's what I'll call it. Right, now I will stop whispering and I'll go and cut these dies. Right, so I've been away and I've cut all three pieces out. So I'm just going to move those out of the way for a second. Just scoot them across the table, and this is really a quick card. So there is the base. Now, as I was saying, if you imagine this oval over that section with those large pieces that cut out, you'd be left with a really flimsy floppy back, which would not work. So this is how it works. You're going to take your trees, and obviously you're going to get everything even and lined up. That isn't at the moment because I'm just showing you. And the only bit that you're going to glue is the tree stalks and up to the trees. Do you see that? And then this piece is going to open, and that's how you're going to create the rocker card. And then, of course, this is the decorative panel that goes on top, and I'm going to stamp on that. And I think what I'll do is glue the tree bits on and then come back and stamp. while the tree is drying, or shall I say the trees. Right, so all you need to do is flip this over. I hope I've got it all in camera here, and I hope my glue's going to work, because it has had a little break, bless it. So I'm just going to test it on a scrap, and I think it is. So we're just going to go here onto the tree stalks. Going to do the tree. And if you haven't got a needle tip glue bottle, you really need one. I mean, for me personally, this and the pickup tool are possibly the greatest, crafting creations. Just makes life simple. So there we have, as you can see, just glue on the stems and the trees. Right, I'm just going to find my little cap, because my swirly bit dropped off my bottle, can you see? And I did put a new bottle on my desk, so, maybe I'll have 2 bottles of glue. Right, now we need to take this over here, and I'm just going to stand up because I can't always see correctly on the camera, and I want this to be even. So I think that is, if I go up a little bit there, just want to make sure I've got a good border. Right, I think I can sit down again now. Sorry if that wobbles my camera. But that is the only bit that you want to adhere. Now you can, of course, decorate those little trees up. You can put little pearls or anything on there. But what you must have is this bit here. I might get my nail underneath to lift up, because that is your card. Right, so while that's drying, I'm going to do some stamping. And I have actually got a scrap of cardstock here. And I'm just going to use black ink because it's, just a real quick card that I'm doing. So it's this set of stamps that I shared with you yesterday. I'm going to use the Merry Christmas, and I'm going to use this pine bough. So just open up my package. And I'm going to use my my stamp block from Alina Craft. So I'm just grabbing this stamp here. So I'm going to use that one and the Merry Christmas. So there I've got my Merry Christmas and my pine bough. And it looks like I've got a little bit of, bright sunshine hitting that spot now. Apparently it's going to be really, really warm here this week. So I'm not going to complain, because I know some people are suffering the cold. Right. Now we need to ink that up. And I'm using VersaFine Clair. And you just need to basically stamp wherever it is that you want it. So I'm going to go there. And you'll have to excuse Bo, because I've got the front door open, as I said before, and he's just going to run in and out and bark, bless him. So I've got a little bit of pine bough there, and I'm going to put another little bit over here. And then I'm going to stamp the sentiment and see if I've got any room for anything else. So I'm going to come in from this side. Just going to do that bit there. And as you can see, it stamps beautifully. So I've got my little bit of piney bits going on. And I'm just going to, oh, where did I put that? Oh, I can't find it. I'll use my finger. Yeah, the ink is dry. Always make sure of that before you start sticking other stuff on. Otherwise you can end up ruining your card. Right, so that's the correct way around now. I've got my Merry Christmas on my block. So I've stuck it there. And that is not straight. One of the nice things about blocks with grids is that you can line your stamps up. Let's do that again. I think that's it. Now, of course, this would have looked nice with gold embossing powder or anything like that, or whatever colour embossing powder you want. Now, I am going to attempt to get this somewhere here. And of course, when you're using a stamp block, you always panic about straightness and did it stamp all right? Well, it is a little bit vintage, so, you know, I'm absolutely okay with that. And I can see that I've got enough space now where I can go in with a little bit more pine bough if I want to. So I'm going to do just that. And I'm just inking it up here. So I'm going to have a little bit there. I've got just a little bit there. And then I'm going to come down in the middle. Now you can use totally different colour inks if you want to, or distress inks. Create a more sort of watercolour effect. Right, so that's going to be my front panel for my card. And I really do love those stamp sets. And if you notice the Christmas bottles on there, they are absolutely gorgeous. You probably can't work it out, but if I flip that over, aren't they lovely? All snowflakes, and there's little stars showing up the sides of the bottles and stuff. I really do like that. I'm going to try and use that. Right, so I've got this, and I'm thinking I want it up on pads. So I'm just going to test my ink to make sure it's dry. I'm going to flip this over. This is a scrap of cardstock that, you know, I still wanted to be able to use on something. So I've got my sticky pads here from Dollar Tree, because that's a good place to get them from still. And I just want this to be dimensional. Now, if you're gifting cards to people, it's always important to put plenty on. Because you don't want it to get all, you know, wibbly wobbly. Make sure that doesn't go over the edge. There we go. And I'm going to come along here and get one there. You can see you do use quite a few foam pads when making cards. Got another one there, and as you can see, I'm going to put another one in there. So that's a lot of sticky pads. Make sure those are flat. Right, all I'm going to do now is just peel the backs off. So I'll pause while I do that, and I'll be right back. Right, so that task is complete. There we go, all the backs are off. And now it's a matter of getting it evenly with an even border. Don't push down until you're absolutely sure that you are where you want to be. And I'm just going to go with that. And that's how quick that is. You've now got your card fastened at the trees. And I have the feeling I maybe should have gone a little bit lower down. But you can see that that lifts out now. That is your card. And that should stand up. I'm going to sit down. There you go. It stands up. And that's what it looks like. I really like that. I mean, you could use pattern paper at the front, couldn't you? And all of your ephemera. But that's just so cute. And of course, if you wanted to, and you wanted to make it more solid, you could cut two white backgrounds and you could glue those together. And then, you're kind of like more even on the semicircle. But I just felt that that was important to explain, because when you look at the die, you think you're going to end up with something like this as a whole, but you're not, if you know what I mean. So I just like that. And on Panalisa's page, she did it with a tea light behind, so that it was like shining through the house windows. But I enjoyed that. That was really quick and pretty. Right, I thank you so much for joining me today. And I am going to be up again tomorrow with more from Panalisa. You have an absolutely awesome day. And as usual, all links below. Bye.